hours for each training. He explained that he could use the local training field at will, as in the north. The Duke noticed that Jim, the chief captain of the Knights, Irina's confidant, and John's brother, was now in charge of it. The man immediately began to worry about why the Duchess was asking so many details about his brother. They continued to swear while gradually moving towards the training field. The guys were walking along the corridor of the castle when they heard other people whispering to each other. The girl asked her husband what was happening, but he did not know either. Shure was surprised because in the original story nothing was supposed to happen now. After a while, the company arrived at the training field and all the knights began to greet them. Jim walked over separately and greeted each of the newcomers. He admitted that John often complained about the girl, so he knows her quite well. Jim was even surprised that the girl was not going to scold his brother. She joked that it was okay to complain about her, but at the first complaint about the Duke, he would not blow his head off. Jim laughed and said it was just a joke as a greeting. After that, our heroine asked to show her the most suitable place to watch the training. The knight immediately suggested that we sit near the center of the training field. The girl was immediately brought a chair and apologized for not being able to find anything more comfortable. The Duke was worried that the girl would watch him train and worry. However, Shure noticed that she really wanted to take a closer look at her husband during training. Immediately after that, the Duke ordered the knights to guard the girl and went to direct the training himself. The girl noticed that she really liked the training, especially her supervisor. She watched her even more closely than a knight who had come to learn. The girl literally caught every movement of her husband with her eyes and tried to remember him as well as possible. She asked for the name of the knight who was guarding her and continued to talk to him. She explained that she liked the Duke, so it was a pleasure for her to watch him. However, the girl noticed that there was a strange atmosphere around her and asked if anything strange was going on. The knight explained that in the morning, the palace envoy visited their training ground, which is why there is such chaos here. In her mind, Shure noted that she would need to find out what was going on after the Duke finished training. The man periodically distracted himself from the battles and watched his wife, who was chatting nicely with the knight. He didn't realize that this guy was telling such a funny thing that he managed to make the girl laugh. Because of these thoughts, the man was distracted and accidentally injured his opponent. He immediately reached out to the guy to check on his well-being and help in case of anything. The man did not have time to take a step when the Duchess immediately flew up to Reynold and began to examine him from all sides. I noticed that knights, especially imperial knights, often get wounded. However, he didn't like the fact that if they were so easily wounded, the North would soon come to an end. As soon as he finished, Shure immediately reached for her chair and brought a bouquet of flowers from there. The girl cautiously approached the victim, despite the warning of the rest of the knights. She carefully took one of the daisies from her morning bouquet from the Duke. The girl concentrated and tried to pour as much of her power into this flower as possible. She took a couple of steps forward and handed the chamomile to the wounded knight. The man remarked that he did not deserve to receive a flower from such a high-ranking person. However, Shure did not ask to take it, but just to take it in her hand and hold it for a while. The knights behind their backs began to whisper that this knight had been subjected to increased attention by the Duke. They even assumed that they had a secret affair when suddenly the wounded man exclaimed, "Thanks to the power of this flower, the knight's wounds began to heal and all of his pain suddenly disappeared." However, the girl noted that this is only a temporary solution, so it is imperative to see a healer and check the hand. After that, she returned to her husband and began to beg him for compliments. The Duke really appreciated her work and praised the girl for her attention. However, as a thank you, his wife demanded that he agree to eat several desserts together. At the same time, in the north, the wizard continued to fight monsters and guard the territory. He went on the expedition alone because his magic allowed him to shoot monsters effectively. The wizard had no idea what riches and honor awaited him if he took possession of the north. Suddenly, a small pebble flew out of one of the magical portals. It appeared right where the demon died, so it was an unusual stone. The wizard took it in his hand and immediately felt a strange energy coming off him. The next day, our heroine went for a walk with her friends and their maids to the shops. The Duchess sent her maid to rest for a few hours while they drank tea and enjoyed desserts. The girl tried to refuse, but Shure gave her some money and then literally forced her to go on vacation. The longer the friends looked at the Duchess, the more it seemed to them that all the rumors were lies. Shure heard them say and asked what kind of rumors they were talking about. And after that, the girl laughed and said that all these rumors were complete fiction and had nothing to do with the truth. She asked me to tell her about the representatives of the temple who arrived at the palace this morning. At this moment, the girl knew that the second magic stone of the recording had been found. A little later, in the late afternoon, Shure returned to her chambers and brought a pile of shopping bags. She also brought some pastries to eat with her husband. She also took out a small box and showed me beautiful blue garters. The Duke immediately noticed that they were a little too big for a girl with her physique. Then she laughed and said that she had decided to give him garters and cufflinks that would match the color of his eyes. She admitted that she likes to please her husband and give him some gifts. Therefore, the girl asked the man right now in front of her to try them on. The Duke could not resist his wife, so he carefully took the cufflinks and attached them to his shirt. Shure was overjoyed when she saw her gift on her beloved man. She liked the fact that they could just spend time together. The second magic stone of the record was found before the first, if compared to the original. Irina's event would also take place earlier, which meant it could have been about the death of the Duke. Therefore, the girl wanted to enjoy time with her husband and quickly deal with what was happening. Reynold noticed that his wife had been reading a lot of books about the North and the temple lately. He realized that this was due to the unexpected appearance of a temple servant in the central palace. The girl was worried that the prediction could be bad and was associated with the Blaine family. If she remembered correctly, the second stone was about the brutal carnage of the Blaine family. The knight's reaction to this in the training field was also very telling. If the weakening North is announced on the stone, then everyone around will begin to encroach on it. Suddenly, the Duke slapped our girlfriend in the face and said that she was too worried. He promised that he would not do anything that might upset his dear wife. After that, the man began to get ready for an official event and promised to return late in the evening. After that, he immediately went to meet John and Jim. The men noticed that this time the Duke had a lot of jewelry on his clothes. Reynold admitted that these were all gifts from his wife, with which she spent a lot of time picking them up. He explained that Shure was tired after her morning workout, so she decided to stay in the room. John began to worry when he heard that the girl was slightly injured. At this time, Jim asked if the Duke had made a return gift to his wife. He said that the girl tried so hard, and even if he did not like this gift, he should give her at least something in return. However, suddenly a loud cry rang out, and one of the men called out to his master in a strange way. He announced that he had found another stone of the record, which surprised everyone in the room. There was a commotion in the castle, and every now and then people in temple uniforms appeared everywhere and talked about the records. It was rumored that the magic stones of the record contained a divine mystery. It is believed that there are 5 stones and that they are hidden throughout the continent. Previously, only 1 stone had been found, but then suddenly the second flower of Netri bloomed, and in such an unstable situation for the North, stones were found, as if they were waiting in the wings. Chaos reigned in the palace when all the stones were found at the same time. The priests communicated with each other and discussed how this could happen. Announcements about the stones found were heard from all sides, which created even more chaos. Irina stepped forward and introduced herself, then asked all the guests to remain calm and stay in their seats. The girl asked to follow the decrees and hoped for assistance from those present. John suggested that the guests of the North be gathered separately, but the Duke dismissed the idea. Talk began to spread among the crowd that these stones were not real. At that moment, the head priest appeared and called mad what any stone is now called a real magic stone of record. He noticed that there were too many people with a rich imagination in the world. The man was very annoyed that during his absence, panic and confusion began around. It was the senior priest, a man with fine white hair, Cedric. Subordinates knew about his habit of slacking off, so they did not allow the man to escape. At that moment, Prince Simon came up to Cedric from behind and greeted him. He expressed his hope that the senior priest would be able to quickly identify the real stones and reassure all those gathered. At that moment, Irina stepped forward and brought some magic stones she had found. Cedric looked at them and immediately said that the stone itself and the font on it were a blatant fake. Among the crowd, there was immediately talk that there was a madman who dared to fake the holy stone. Irina also approached the Duke and asked where his wife had gone. Reynold replied that she had not been very well during the day, so she decided to rest in her room. Irina continued to insist that she found it strange that the girl was absent from the banquet in honor of her husband. She remarked that when it came to magic stones, one could not rule out someone from the Netri lineage. To which the Duke immediately became angry and noticed that the girl now belonged to the Blaine family. He noticed how tense Irina was at these words and realized that the sisters' relationship was very bad. His wife was not at all like her sister in character. He remembered what had happened on the very first day of his arrival in the capital for the ball. That day, the girl immediately became sad after talking alone with her sister. Therefore, he was very angry now and promised that he would deal with the girl if she dared to annoy them again. Irina was frightened by the sight of him, but John was glad that at least some of the Duke's emotions had returned. At this moment, he was distracted by the prince, who offered to look at the magic stones together. Reynold was worried that his emotions would return to him after a while. On the first stone, it was written that when Blaine eats something sweet, his expression becomes unbearably sullen. On all the other stones, there were similar inscriptions that did not look like a prophecy at all and surprised everyone. The maid returned to her mistress and told her what had happened to the magic stones. However, she noticed that the girl simply did not have time to write all these stones and put them in different places. All this time she watched her mistress and believed her, so she protected her. The maid walked out of the room to speak to the knights once more and make them calm down. As soon as the door closed behind her, our heroine also got up from her seat and went to the bed. There she pushed aside the secret door and saw a recess in the floor where the stone tablets lay. The girl was worried that because of the text on the signs, everyone would immediately understand who she was talking about. She carefully plucked a few fragrant flowers and put them in a recess with tablets. These flowers were perfect for covering tracks, but they smelled very nasty. The girl dragged 12 stone tablets, so now her whole body ached. The empire was founded by a divine messenger who settled disputes between Blaine and Netri, and the magic stones served as important proof of the fulfillment of this myth. Moreover, this is not just a forgery, but an act of slander against two great families at once, which could shake the foundations of the empire. The girl had a headache because she spent a lot of time racking her imagination in an attempt to write fair compliments to Netri. Schuer was fortunate that thanks to the novel, she knew the description of the shape of the stone tablets and how to distinguish a fake from the original. In the novel, after Reynold's death, the imperial palace was filled with monsters, thanks to which the girl learned about the presence of a secret passage in the room. Information about this would only spread after the Duke's death, so the girl did not want to use it. Schuer didn't want to think about it, so she began to beat her cheeks to dismiss these thoughts. She was glad that she just had to move the switch from the north to the capital, forcing the temple to deal with it. The girl was distracted from her thoughts by the Duke, who came into the room and asked why she did this. The heroine immediately jumped up on her bed and was insanely happy to see her beloved husband. She tried to pretend to be very ill, but the Duke saw her just jumping on the bed. Schuer persisted and asked the Duke to examine her hand. The man suddenly leaned forward sharply and brought his face closer to the girl's face. In fact, he only noticed a small pink petal in her hair. However, most of all he was interested in the fact that there were traces of burning on that petal. The man said that he was asked to take part in the investigation of the incident with the signs. Schuer immediately began to worry that her sister might blame the North for this. So she looked her husband straight in the eye and said that she was the one who forged the signs. The Duke already knew this. He was more interested in the reason for her action. According to the plot, when the contents of the second tablet are made public, the North will fall, and the girl wanted to avoid this. Therefore, she said that everyone had a wrong idea about the North and the Duchy of Blaine. The dukes of his family are considered cruel and crazy people who enjoy killing. Reynold remarked that this was not so far from the truth, but Schuer did not let him finish. The Duke admitted that the desire to protect him was not a reason to forge magic tablets. Angela revealed that Natri was going to convene the capital's nobility, so the heroine did it to distract public attention. The Duke noticed that her actions caused quite a stir. He was worried that someone would find out about the girl's involvement in this coming. He recalled that forging stone tablets is tantamount to treason. Schuer promised that if Reynold turned her into the capital, the girl would cry day and night, shouting his name. She will fall into despair and tirelessly repeat his name. Then everyone will think that it is his fault. The Duke could not find what to say to such stupid blackmail. and just looked at his wife. The girl even thought at some point that the man was really thinking of turning her in. However, then he poked her forehead with his finger and told her that she was thinking about some nonsense. He reminded his wife that now they were one Blaine family and they had all the same affairs. Our heroine was impressed that the Grand Duke treated her so well. After that, the man ordered the girl to pack up and prepare to leave. John said that there is no circumstantial evidence of the girl's involvement in this incident. Duke Reynald ordered him to check and everything again just in case. He couldn't believe that with such a small body, Schuer was rushing around the imperial palace, laying out heavy stone tablets everywhere. A little later, the girl changed her clothes and left the room and took her husband by the hand. Together, they went to the banquet hall to face the situation. The Duke and Duchesses entered the hall. Everyone around